Christina Applegate and Ed O'Neill, co-stars on Married with Children, returned to the spotlight during a reunion discussion revisiting their years on set and the bond and tension formed behind the scenes. Fans have long speculated about what really happened between them after the show ended, especially after Applegate hinted at unseen struggles during filming and changes in her career that followed. Now a new revelation has sparked fresh debate among fans worldwide, raising question: what really happened between them? A sitcom that changed everything. In the late 1980s, American television entered a new era of comedy. In 1987, a new sitcom called Married with Children premiered on the Fox network. At first, many critics did not know what to expect. The show was loud, messy, and very different from traditional family sitcoms of the time. But within a short period, it became one of the most talked-about shows in television history. Christina Applegate was cast as Kelly Bundy, the teenage daughter of the Bundy family. Her character was funny, bold, and often chaotic. She quickly became one of the most recognized young faces on television. Across from her was Ed O'Neill, playing Al Bundy, the tired shoe salesman and frustrated father. His character became the center of the show's humor, known for his sarcastic tone and exhausted view of family life. From the first season, the contrast between Kelly Bundy and Al Bundy created a unique dynamic. Kelly's carefree personality often clashed with Al's frustration. These moments became some of the most memorable scenes in the series. The timing, expressions, and reactions between Applegate and O'Neill helped shape the identity of the show. Their performances made even simple scenes feel unpredictable. As filming continued, the cast worked long hours on set. Episodes were filmed in front of live audiences, which added pressure to deliver perfect timing. Every joke had to land at the right moment. Every reaction had to feel natural. Behind the laughter, there was a strict production schedule that repeated week after week. As the show gained popularity, it became a cultural topic. Some praised it for its bold humor, while others criticized its style. Still, the audience kept growing. The Bundy family became a household name in millions of homes across America and later around the world. For Christina Applegate, fame arrived at a very young age. She was still a teenager when the show became a major hit. While other young people were still discovering life, she was stepping into international recognition. Interviews, public appearances, and fan attention became part of her daily reality. The pressure of growing up in front of the world slowly became part of her journey. For Ed O'Neill, the role of Al Bundy brought a different kind of fame. He was already an adult actor, but the sitcom made him a television icon. His performance became one of the most recognizable roles in comedy history. People everywhere began associating him with the tired, sarcastic father figure he portrayed on screen. As seasons passed, the cast developed a natural rhythm. The performances felt effortless to audiences, but behind the scenes, it came from years of repetition and discipline. The chemistry between Applegate and O'Neill became one of the most important parts of the show's success. Fans began to wonder if this connection was only professional, or if something deeper existed behind the cameras. Media interviews and fan discussions slowly started focusing not just on the characters, but on the actors themselves. People analyzed their interactions, their comments, and even their behind-the-scenes moments. Every small detail became part of a growing curiosity about their real relationship. At the same time, the show continued to push boundaries. Storylines became more daring, humor became sharper, and the production grew even more demanding. The success brought excitement, but also pressure that was not visible to the audience watching at home. As the series moved toward its peak popularity, everything appeared strong and stable from the outside. Ratings were high, the audience was loyal, and the cast was widely recognized. But behind the studio lights and scripted laughter, a different reality was beginning to form quietly, away from public view. Because as the fame of Married with Children continued to rise, not everything behind the scenes remained as simple as it seemed on screen. But behind the success, tensions and quiet struggles were beginning to grow in ways fans never saw. Behind the laughter and long filming days. As Married with Children continued its rise in popularity, the reality behind the camera became more demanding with each passing season. The show was filmed on tight weekly schedules, often in front of live studio audiences. Every episode required long rehearsals, repeated takes, and careful timing to keep the humor sharp and consistent. Christina Applegate, still very young during the early years of production, spent much of her teenage life on set. While other teenagers experienced school and normal daily routines, her days were filled with scripts, rehearsals, and filming sessions that sometimes lasted late into the night. The pressure of being part of a hit television show became part of her growing-up experience. Each season brought more attention, more expectations, and less privacy. Ed O'Neill, as one of the central figures of the series, carried a different kind of responsibility. His character, Al Bundy, was the anchor of the show's humor and structure. On set, he often worked through long shooting days where scenes had to be repeated until the timing matched perfectly. His role demanded consistency, patience, and control, especially when scenes were performed in front of live audiences waiting for precise comedic delivery. Behind the laughter, the production environment was intense. A sitcom may appear simple on screen, but the reality involved technical precision. Lighting had to be adjusted. Audience reactions had to be managed. Dialogue had to be delivered exactly as written, while still feeling natural. Any small mistake could lead to delays, and delays meant longer nights for the cast and crew. As the show grew into a major television success, public attention around the actors increased. Christina Applegate was no longer just a young actress on a sitcom. She had become a public figure recognized across the country. Magazine covers, interviews, and fan attention followed her everywhere. This level of visibility brought both opportunity and pressure, especially at such a young age. Ed O'Neill also experienced growing recognition. While he had worked as an actor before, the role of Al Bundy made him a household name. Fans connected strongly with his character, often approaching him in public as if he were the same frustrated father from the show. This blending of character and real identity is something many actors in long-running sitcoms experience, and it slowly became part of his daily life. On set, the cast developed familiarity through repetition. Working together week after week created a sense of routine. Scenes were performed, adjusted, and repeated until they worked perfectly. Over time, this process built comfort between actors, but it also created exhaustion. The balance between performance and personal energy became harder to maintain as seasons went on. There were moments of laughter between takes, small breaks, and shared experiences that made the long hours easier. However, like many long-running productions, not every day felt light or easy. Creative pressure, schedule demands, and constant expectations shaped the working environment in ways the audience never saw. As the series progressed, fans continued to celebrate the chemistry between the cast. The natural flow between Christina Applegate and Ed O'Neill became one of the most discussed parts of the show. Viewers admired how effortlessly they played off each other, turning simple scenes into memorable moments. This admiration slowly turned into curiosity about what their relationship was like when the cameras were off. At the same time, both actors were growing in different directions. Applegate was transitioning from child performer to adult actress in front of the entire world. O'Neill was solidifying his place as a television icon. These parallel journeys created distance and experience, even while they remained part of the same show. As the seasons continued and the workload increased, the atmosphere behind the scenes became more layered. Success brought stability, but also repetition. Fame brought recognition, but also pressure. And through it all, the bond between cast members was shaped quietly by time, routine, and the demands of a show that never slowed down. But as the final seasons approached, change was already unavoidable. Life after the final episode. When Married with Children came to an end in 1997, it marked the closing of an era in television comedy. After more than a decade on air, the cast suddenly stepped out of a world that had shaped their daily lives for years. The studio lights dimmed, the audience laughter faded, and a long-running routine came to a quiet stop. For Christina Applegate, the end of the series brought a major turning point. She had grown up on the show, and now she was stepping into a new phase of life as an adult actress trying to separate herself from Kelly Bundy. Casting directors and audiences still strongly associated her with the sitcom character, which made the transition difficult at first. She began taking on new roles in television and film, carefully building a different identity in Hollywood. Each new project became a step toward redefining her career beyond the role that made her famous. At the same time, Ed O'Neill entered a different professional path. While he was already respected in the industry, the end of the sitcom allowed him to explore more varied acting opportunities. Over time, he gradually rebuilt his screen image, moving into roles that showed a broader emotional range. His career continued steadily, proving that his success was not limited to one character. As both actors moved forward, their daily connection from the set slowly disappeared. No longer working together on a weekly basis, their interactions became rare. This natural distance often happens after long-running television productions, where cast members spend years together and then suddenly move in separate directions. During this period, public appearances featuring both Applegate and O'Neill became less frequent. Interviews focused more on their individual careers rather than their shared history. However, Married with Children remained an important part of their identity, often mentioned when discussing their rise to fame. Fans continued to revisit the show through reruns and syndication. New audiences discovered the Bundy family, keeping the legacy alive long after production had ended. This ongoing popularity kept curiosity alive about the cast's real relationships, especially between Applegate and O'Neill, whose on-screen chemistry had been such a defining part of the series. Over time, memories of the set began to take on a nostalgic tone. What was once a daily working environment turned into stories shared in interviews and special retrospectives. Both actors spoke respectfully about their time on the show, acknowledging its importance in shaping their careers. Yet even with this shared history, the lack of frequent public interaction between them led to ongoing speculation. Fans and media often wondered whether the distance after the show was simply natural or something more complex. Small comments from interviews were sometimes revisited and analyzed, even when they carried no controversy at the time. Meanwhile, Hollywood continued to evolve. New sitcoms replaced old ones, and the television landscape changed rapidly. Both Applegate and O'Neill adapted to these changes in their own ways, building careers beyond the world of the Bundys. Still, the legacy of Married with Children remained powerful. It continued to influence comedy and remained a cultural reference point for decades. And as the years passed, the idea of a reunion slowly shifted from unlikely to inevitable. Because when former co-stars meet again after decades apart, even the smallest moment can reopen memories that were never fully spoken about. And when they finally appeared together again, the past was no longer easy to ignore. The reunion that reopened old questions. Years after Married with Children ended, Christina Applegate and Ed O'Neill were brought back into the same spotlight through reunion appearances and retrospective interviews. These moments were not part of a new show or a scripted storyline. Instead, they were reflections on a series that had shaped television history and defined their early careers. The setting was often simple: a stage, a studio, or a conversation filmed for a special segment. Cameras captured their return side by side after many years apart. For audiences, it was the first time seeing them together in a long period outside of their famous roles.